Hi friends, welcome to Learner Ansari Java tutorial. In this tutorial, you are going to learn static. In this tutorial, I am going to explain what is static and what is the use of static. The static is nothing but the static is the Java keyword. So the use of static keyword is for memory management. So we use static keyword only for memory management. We can use the keyword static along with variables, then methods, static block we can create inside our Java program, and we can use static for classes. I mean nested class. Nested class is a class which is inside another class. So static keyword can be used along with variables, methods, block, and nested class. In this tutorial, I'm going to explain practically what will happen when you use static along with variables, methods, and block. The nested class that we will discuss in the subsequent tutorials. Okay. The static keyword, as I said, used for memory management. The static members doesn't belong to any object. When we create a static members inside any class, that doesn't belong to object. Rather, it belongs only to class. That is the reason the static variables are always called as a class variables, and static methods are known as class methods. So let us understand the static practically. Let me create a class name as use of static with static void main, and for example, let me create another class employee. So let me create some instance variable. Okay, instead of employee I would like to create okay, let me be integer age, string name, string company. Okay, so this particular class contains three data member, two string object, and one integer variable, the employee name, age, and company. So these are all instance variables. So whenever we create the object contains all these three separately. For example, here we create employee E1 equal to new employee, the same, and I'm creating another employee object E2 and E3. So in this case, this employee object contains all these three instance variable. For example, E1 has name, age, as well as company, and E2 has name, age, company, and E3 has separate name, age, company. For example, if you are modifying the company name for E3, this will not affect the company name of E2 and E1. So we know that the company name is common for all the employee if they work for the same company. So we don't need to create a separate object for each and every employee. So what we can do is we can make this company common for all the object of a class. So in that situation, what we can do is we can declare this particular employee as static. So now the static doesn't belong to any of the class objects. That directly it belongs to the class employee. So it is called as class variables. So now the company, you can see some changes. It is now like italic, as we have declared this as a static. So to differentiate it, the Eclipse shows the company in a italic font format, and now the company is not wrapped with E1. Now this E1 contains only the name and age, and E2 contains only name and age, and E3 contains only name and age. The company is common for all the employee. So the static member available only one copy per program. For example, to display the information, let me override a method, a toString public string toString. So display it, return name, return name plus age, and company name. So what we can do is here itself you can declare the company. For example, Oracle. So the company name is Oracle. Now we can give e1 dot name e1 dot. When I display, it shows only two variables: company, age, and name. But the company is a static, so you can see some symbol on the diamond symbol. Yes, static variable, so it doesn't belong to the class. So e1 contains only two data member. One is age, another one is name. Two instance variable. Okay, name is equal to James, and e1 dot age is equal to 30, and e2. So instead of defining it one by one, we can create a constructor to pass it. Otherwise, we have to give, let me override the default constructor. Without default constructor, we cannot create a parameter constructor. So employee string name and integer age, and using the this operator, name and study age is equal to age. Now let us pass it new static. Here itself I am passing the value. So here John 25, here James 30, and here Peter 35. And let us display the object system.out.println, and here e1, and we will display all the objects /n e2 and e3. Okay, let me execute this program. Now it displays John, James, Peter. So it displays all the object e1, e2, e3. So when I print the object, it calls the toString method. So toString methods return the name, age, and company as a string. So it is successfully displayed. Now if you want to change the company name, what we can do is the static variable can be accessed without the object. Otherwise, for example, if you want to change the e1 employee name, we have to write e1 dot name is equal to Gosling. So without the object, we cannot access the properties of a class. We have to use the object, and that object contains the instance variable name, and we have to modify it. Now when I display the e1, first initially when I call the parameter constructor, the name was set as John. Now I have changed it by the using the object e1 dot name. Now it is Gosling. So we will have Gosling 25 Oracle here. So only e1 object is changed. Now we want to change the company name for all the people. Now what we can do is the static variable can be accessed using the class name. So only the static member can be accessed using the class name. The non-static member, if you want to access, we have to, there is only way to access a non-static member. We have to create the object and we have to access it. Now here the class name and the company is equal to Sun Microsystem. Okay, now let us execute. It affects all the objects. So the static variables is common for all the objects, but the name, the instance variable is not common for all the objects. The instance variable will be created for each and every object. So E1 contains separate name and age, E2 contains the separate name and age, and E3 contains the separate one. But the company, as we have declared as a static, it is common for all the objects. So only one copy will be available for your program. That is common. So let us understand, for example, how it is created in a memory. Let us imagine that the Java virtual machine creates a allocating a memory for your object. So let us consider that this is a memory, and usually the object reference will be created in stack memory. So we have created three objects, and there will be usually two types of memory. One is static, another one is heap, and another one is a class. So let us consider that this is a heap, and this is a class area, static. Okay, so this is a static. In static, it will have only the references. So E1, E2, E3 will be there in static memory. So for being a Java developer, we need not know much about the memory, but this is, let us understand what happens in memory. So E1, E2, and employee 3. The reference are created like this. The object will be there in heap memory. This is a class area. So in heap memory, we can see the object. Three objects are created. So in this object contains name is equal to Gosling, and age is equal to 25, and another object, two objects, and the third object. Okay, I don't have space, so I have written created like this. So here name is equal to Peter, and age is equal to 30, and the third one is James is the second object, and third one is Peter. James is the second object, and the third one is name is equal to Peter, then age is equal to 35. So three objects are created, and the reference points the object. E1 points and E2 points the second object, and okay, E1 points, and let us differentiate it. Then okay, E2 points the object, and E3 points its object. So I hope you understand what happened in the memory in this program. And the class area contains static. Okay, that is nothing but company name is equal to Sun Microsystem. So we have changed it. That is why initially it was created as Oracle. Now as we have changed here, it will have Sun Microsystem. Previously it was Oracle. When the class is loaded in memory, so it is created. So now Sun Microsystem. Now this is common for Now this is common. This memory is common for all the objects. So this is why we call it as memory management. So whenever we create a object, the object contains whatever we have defined inside the class, except the static members. So this is what happens when we use static keyword along with a variable. Now let us understand what will happen if we use the static method. Okay, here let us create a static method. Public static void display. Name is equal to name, then age is equal to age, company is equal to company. So this is what we have written. So now you can find the compiler gives us error for using a name and age. So here let us check it out what error it gives. Cannot make static reference to the non-static name. So there is a restriction for using the static keyword, that is nothing but restriction for static member is nothing but non-static member cannot be used inside static method. Hope you understand. Non-static member cannot be used inside static member because the static is common for all the object. So we cannot use this object inside the static area. So that is why it gives compilation error. If it is a static, this is common for all the objects. So static can be used inside any non-static members, but non-static cannot be used inside static. I hope you understand. Let me repeat again. A static member cannot be used inside non-static, but non-static can be used inside. Sorry, I messed up. A static member, non-static member cannot be used inside the static method, but the static member can be used inside the non-static member. So here, as the name and age both are non-static variable, non-static member, we cannot use inside the static. So the both has to be static to use inside. So that is the reason it gives us error. So let us delete this and let me give just static method. So what happens is static method is common for all the objects. So static method will not be created for each and every object. So like E1, E2, E3 contains uh, only two string method as well as two instances. So uh, object usually contains only instant method and instant members. So this is instance variable object contains as well as the public string. But as it is static, the display method as well as company will not be wrapped inside any object. So here the display method also will be created. Here the display method is inside. So display method is created inside. So this is also common for all the objects of a class. Now how to call the static member outside the class? The static method can be called with name of the class name. Name of the class we can call, the name of the class is employee and the method name is display. So we don't need to create an object to call it. So otherwise a non-static method we cannot call using the name of the class. We have to create a separate object to call the non-static method. So here let us understand. Let me display what it has. Yeah. the static method is called. In this program, the first E1 we are modifying to Gosling, and employee dot name is set to Sun Microsystem. When the object is created, the company name was Oracle, and after the object creation, we have changed it for E1 employee dot company is equal to Sun Microsystem, and E1 dot name is Gosling. At the time of object creation for E1, the name was John, and after creating it, we have changed it to Gosling. And I'm calling that static method with the name of the class employee.display displayed here. And finally I'm calling the toString method by printing the e1, e2, e3. So toString method returns the name, age, and company. So that is why we have got the output Gosling 25 Sun Microsystem, James 30 Sun Microsystem, and Peter 35 Sun Microsystem. Uh, okay, so I hope you understand practically the use of static keyword with variable and with method. And that is a block. We can create a static block. Static, just a block. The static block is used to initialize the static members. But here let me print static block. Static block. So the static block is called before the main method. So when the class is loaded, the static block is called. So static block, what we have written is called the static block. But object creation, after the object creation, this is printed. So static block will be called automatically when the class is loaded in memory. So I hope you understand the use of static keyword practically with variables and methods as well as for your static block. Thank you for watching.